What I'm going to talk about now is about safety training policies. How many of you guys have one of those training policies right now? How's it working for you guys? Working good? Not so good? Anybody awake? All right, well, when I started with Schwan's, we had this policy in place. We had a new hire training policy where we went around new hires. We had them take a 35-question test. We did some practice driving in our trucks, about 20 hours. And then we gave them a road test. And then every year we did an annual renewal. So we went back and we did the exact same thing every year. And what we found out is our preventable motor vehicle crashes were higher than the national average, which is not good. So we went in, we saw our training was more like a punishment versus trying to change driver behavior. So we looked at changing our policy. So we went to a new hire for our new employees. Annual renewal, we changed that up, and then we did refresher training for our motor vehicle accidents or crashes. So what we had was a new hire. We said, okay, what are we going to do with a new hire? We're going to have them take a new hire test. New hired employee is anybody that was hired in a DOT driving position. So that's everybody that's coming in. We hire salespeople, not drivers. We transferred employees because I also do Schwan's, which is the yellow truck. We also do consumer brands, which goes to our grocery stores. We do like Frusciatas Pizza, Red Baron Pizza, Mrs. Smith's Apple Pies. You guys familiar with that? So we have two sets of fleets. We have the smaller fleet truck, which is a non-DOT, a commercial vehicle, and then we have the one that requires a DOT. And then the rehire employees. Does anybody you guys have employees that come back to you guys after they left? Do you guys retrain them, or you say, oh, well, they've been trained before, so we'll just put them back into the driving position? So, and then the other question we had was, how long do they have to be gone for the company before we have to retrain them? Is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? So we said, you know what, it doesn't matter how long. We're going to retrain them every time. So the new hire training policy is we have the written exam, which everybody goes through. Then we still have the practice driving, because, again, we have people that are salespeople that come in from the personal vehicle. They're not DOT, or CDL, so we need to get them trained for our trucks. To practice driving, they go out there for about 20 hours behind the wheel. And then a commentary drive is what we have our field trainers go out with our new employee, and they physically tell us exactly what they're doing. So they're driving the truck, they're saying, I see a car 3 seconds ahead of me, I see a red light, I see cars pulling into traffic, I'm slowing down because I'm coming to this red light. The commentary drive is where they go through exactly what they see when they're driving the vehicle. And then at the end of the practice, after the commentary drive, they're evaluated and they're given a road test. Similar to how you get your driver's license. You have your permit, you have some practice, and then you go take your driving road test to get your license. Okay, for transferring employees from our consumer brands position, which is a CDL, and to the home service, or vice versa. And also employees that were promoted from a non-driving position to a driving position. We do not have them take the test again, because they already took the test, but we want them practicing practicing driving the truck. Because we have smaller trucks if you're going in the home service and the bigger trucks in the consumer brand. They also do a commentary drive, and then they do the road test. Now for our annual renewal, we ask them to do it once a year. So in our system, 335 days before they're due, it comes up saying, okay, this person's due for a commentary drive. They have a 30-day grace period to get this completed. It's based on the last time they had a DOT road test, if they're a new hire, or how they had the commentary drive last time they had one a year ago. The evaluator, the field trainer, grades them on what they're doing. If they find something that's wrong with their driving, if something they can improve, if they're not checking their mirrors every 3 to 5 seconds, if they are not reacting to changing traffic conditions, they're marked on their evaluation, and then additional training or training modules are assigned to the driver. So what we want to try to do is we're trying to change the driver behavior versus just using this big broad brush of, okay, every time you're in trouble, what's going to give you the same training over and over again. We want to focus it on whatever incident or whatever we found on their driving. And then we have some refresher training. It's based on preventable crashes, any violations, motor vehicle violations, driver check complaints, our DOT system for Schwans, drive cam events, and risk profile. Now, what we had before was if you had a crash, a preventable crash, you backed into a mailbox, we had you go through this whole driver training and then do a road test. We never really focused on what the behavior was backing. Or if you were making a right-hand turn, running a red light, crashed in somebody, we focus on the whole thing, not how you're driving the vehicle. Does that make sense? Did I lose you guys? No? You sure? Violations. Every time you had like a motor vehicle violation, speeding, seatbelt use, we do pull the motor vehicle records every 6 months. So based on what we found, we do additional training on that. We have modules on cell phone use, seatbelt use, principles of driving, hard braking, and speeding. There's a few I can think of right now. Our DOT point system, every time you had an accident or a crash, it was based on points. So what we were getting at was if you had a $500 or less motor vehicle crash, it was considered 3 points. If the same accident cost you $5.01, it was an incident, so you got 7 points. So our system went from 3 points to 7 points. You got it written, but no training. So it goes all the way up to 21 points. When you get to 21 points, you're terminated. And we didn't want to get those drivers up to that point. We wanted to save them before they got to the 21 points. We wanted to try to change their driving behavior before we had to let them go. And then drive cam events. We have drive cam in our vehicle. And we use that for enforcing our no cell phone use policy. We use it for enforcing that you're using your seatbelt. It also helps us find out what's going on with our drivers. How many of you guys have your drivers out in the field that you have no clue what they're doing? Exactly. So it opened my eyes to see what they were doing. I got drivers running stop signs, and they think it's like nothing. It's because nothing happens to them. There was no car, nothing. Just went through a stop sign. We have drivers that see a nice big pothole in the middle of the road and speed up to see how much air they can get underneath them. So I don't know, you probably guys seen the same thing. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the driver behavior versus, okay, well, you had the seatbelt, oh, no big deal. But no, it's a big deal. Or you hit that pothole pretty hard. No, it's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. It's you're damaging their property, and also you could lose control if you hit that too fast. And the next one here is the risk driver profile. This is one that we're working on, and it's very difficult for us right now. We're taking all the information we have here and trying to combine it and say how risky our driver is. The problems we're having here right now, technical, is because we use driver check, and we get, that's how's my driving. We get the information on them, calls in complaints from their system, comes to our system. Drive cam, their point system comes into our system. Our motor vehicle system comes in. Our insurance carrier comes in, and we're trying to take all that different data and combine it into one. So we could say, is this a good driver? Is this a mild risk driver? Or is this a driver we really got to get to before he has a major accident? Okay, and then once we go through that, have the refresher training. If they had an accident or an incident, or if they got a driver check complaint or a drive cam, we have them do a commentary drive with a field trainer. The field trainer goes out, sees how they do, and we're focusing specifically on whatever that event triggered that commentary drive. So if it was a backing incident, we're focusing on how they're doing backing. And then based on the commentary drive, additional training modules are assigned. And then we go 14 days, 2 weeks to get that completed, and then they go back 2 weeks later to see how they improved, to see if we were effective or not. Okay, our enforcement. So what we have is we have drivers outside the grace period. They have 35 days to get this completed when they're new hire. They have the 30-day grace period when they're going through the annual renewal. And then they have 14 days to get it done for the driver training, the refresher modules. If they do not get this done within their grace period, they're outside the grace period, they cannot drive our vehicle until they complete their training. And that's completing the training and passing, not just getting it done. So we have set standards where we have to make sure they pass. So that's the biggest problem we have right now, is the enforcement. Now, what happened was we implemented this back in July, August of last year. Our preventable motor vehicle crashes have dropped by 9%. Is that because of this program? I don't know. Or are we getting lucky? I'd like to say it's because of the program. I don't know yet. I think it's still too early to know. When we had the drive cam, when we started the drive cam, our accidents went down 26% within the first 6 months. And then after the people got used to it, they started creeping back up. So I'm hoping we're going in the right direction. And then what we're doing is we're trying to focus on driver training, or driver behavior. We want them to go out there and know, hey, I don't have to use that cell phone. I can't use that cell phone. I'm not going to use that cell phone. And then also, I'm running late. I'm running behind my route. So I'm going to actually not run that red light or speed. I'm going to slow down and make sure I do everything right. So, okay, here's some of the pitfalls we had. I talked about getting the annual renewal training done in the grace period time. Tracking. We have a little problem with tracking. It's very difficult. And then the big thing is keeping it fresh. What we had before is if we do the same training over and over and over again, it falls on deaf ears. All right, thanks. I think I'm on time.